Former President Donald Trump is on trial in New York on criminal charges of falsifying business records to cover up a hush money payment to porn star Stormy Daniels shortly before the 2016 presidential election. Closing arguments are set to get underway early next week. Daniels, who alleges a one-night sexual encounter with Trump in 2006, stood her ground through the trial, helping prosecution make the case. Trump denies an encounter with Daniels.
Her testimony was actually surprisingly adroit. She was very, very sharp on the witness stand, and I think that the defense counsel had a hard time handling her. The prosecutors didn't want to be faced with a scenario where the only things that the jurors were weighing as to whether or not the underlying predicate event, the sex, happened or didn't happen, was the defense counsel saying that it didn't happen and the prosecutors saying that it did. Stormy Daniels getting on the stand and saying, look, this really happened and these are the details. That was critical because it changes the equilibrium in favor of the prosecution as opposed to just a lawyer said versus lawyer said kind of contention.
Former National Enquirer publisher David Pecker testified that he agreed in August 2015 to serve as Trump's eyes and ears and watch out for rumors or stories, such as Daniels, that could potentially damage his presidential bid. That policy led the magazine to pay people who were peddling stories about Trump's sexual behavior, he said, a practice known as catch and kill that prevented them from talking to other outlets.
I think David Pecker was a very effective prosecution witness in the sense that he was basically testifying to what he perceived to be business deals. And the business deals at issue go to the heart of the ultimate charges in the case, which are the falsification of records. I mean, there's no dispute as to the underlying fact that Michael Cohen paid Stormy Daniels $130,000. We know that happened. We have the signed checks. They were introduced into evidence. David Pecker is one of the individuals who provides context as to the how and why of that kind of an arrangement. And that's a very, very powerful witness.
Trump has pleaded not guilty to falsifying business records to cover up Cohen's $130,000 payment to Daniels. Trump's former lawyer Michael Cohen also testified, asserting he had Trump sign off to buy Daniels' silence. Cohen testified that Trump told him Daniels' account would harm his campaign if released. The distinction is critical because prosecutors must prove Trump was fudging records to cover up a crime such as an illegal campaign contribution to win a conviction on felony charges.
I think that given that in order to take the falsification of records charges up to the level of being a felony, the prosecutors need to show that Mr. Trump's purpose with the hush money payments, was to, in essence, interfere with voters' information in the 2016 election. Hope Hicks' testimony that as to the level of panic and the level of concern on the part of the entire Trump campaign and on the part of Mr. Trump himself in the aftermath of the Access Hollywood tape gives purpose. It gives context and reason behind what comes next, which is the payment to Stormy Daniels.
The defense sought to poke holes in Cohen's story, accusing him of lying about a phone call he said he made to Trump's bodyguard Keith Schiller about the deal with Daniels. The defense said it was actually about prank calls Cohen was getting from a teenager.
There was some controversy as to Michael Cohen's recollection of a phone call on October 24th during the period in question that he placed to Trump's bodyguard or sort of body man, Keith Schiller, who was sort of a critical point of access. And there is text message evidence that would back up a theory that the defense is emphasizing, that Cohen's real purpose for that phone call was that he was being pranked by a 14-year-old who was threatening him, and that Cohen was taking this really seriously and considering even notifying the Secret Service and taking a variety of other steps. Cohen alleges that phone call was essentially multi-purposed, and that the additional purpose of that phone call was to seal the details and confirm the details of the Stormy Daniels hush money arrangement.
Testimonies from former Trump aide Hope Hicks and attorney Robert Costello do have the potential to sway jurors.
It seems like the decision was made relatively late in the game when he testified before Congress and displayed a willingness to just destroy Michael Cohen, a clear and strong set of statements denigrating Michael Cohen. That's obviously attractive to the defense. Unfortunately for the defense, when Costello got on the stand, he made a series of missteps that would be inexplicable for any witness, much less a seasoned attorney, to sit on the witness stand and object on your own, which you're not allowed to do, to tell the judge to strike certain things, which you're not allowed to do, and to engage in the immature teenage-like behavior of rolling your eyes, in a demonstrative way at the judge's rulings in front of the jury, to the point where the judge then had to castigate him in front of the jury, ask the jury to leave, castigate him again, and then resume testimony. I don't think that Robert Costello helped the defense, and if anything, the net result of Costello's testimony is favorable for the prosecution.